Good morning and welcome to the Terry Leadership Speaker Series. My name is Katie Buckus and I am a Junior Leonard Leadership Scholar studying finance here at the University of Georgia. The Institute for Leadership Advancement is a highly selective undergraduate certificate program that develops values-based, impact-driven leaders. ILA enhances leadership capabilities layered on top of each student's academic major that promotes self-development, effective communication, teamwork, innovation, and adaptability in a changing global environment. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Scott Colosi. He is the President and Chief Financial Officer of Texas Roadhouse Incorporated, which owns and operates over 550 restaurants in 49 states and 7 countries. In his more than 30 years in the restaurant industry, Mr. Colosi worked for Yum! Brands Incorporated and Burger King before joining Texas Roadhouse in 2002. Mr. Colosi graduated from the University of Georgia in 1986, earning his bachelor's degree in business administration. He then went on to receive his MBA from the University of Miami in 1989. He and his wife, Elena, reside in Louisville, Kentucky, the location of Texas Roadhouse's Restaurant Support Center. They have 3 children, Chris, Nick, and Emily. Mr. Colosi continues to impact his community by serving on a variety of nonprofit boards throughout Louisville, including Leadership Louisville, Louisville Metro Police Foundation, and The Healing Place, which is a nationally recognized drug and alcohol addiction recovery program for men and women. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Scott Colosi.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here in Athens this morning. Beautiful day in Athens. And this, of course, is a Texas Roadhouse. How many of you have had the pleasure of dining at Texas Roadhouse? So a good portion of you. That's cool. Anybody work there? Has anybody worked at Texas Roadhouse? Yeah, a couple back there. Want to tell us about it?
I enjoyed it.
Okay. I hope you're telling the truth, by the way. Anyway, so this is our Texas Roadhouse, founded in 1993 by Kent Taylor. I'm going to talk more about Kent later as our founder. And just a couple elements that you can see. See how bright it is, especially our neon lighting Texas Roadhouse, which kind of screams off the tin. And we have like a natural billboard for our concept. So for those of you all that may want to open your own restaurant one day, it's something to think about. What are some of the elements that you have in your architecture that may resonate with people about your concept and what kind of message you're trying to send? Plus these 2 towers here on top. First restaurant didn't have 2 towers, by the way, but we do now in all the restaurants. So what I want to try to do today is give you all a few things to think about as you embark on your careers post University of Georgia, and as you journey through your careers, well beyond graduation. So Texas Roadhouse has been a huge part of my life. It's half of my career experience. Is where I've really learned the most about what a great culture is in a restaurant company or a company in general. And I kind of wanted just to share a few things from that with you all today that I hope, again, will resonate with you. So first thing I want to do is kind of welcome you into the world of Texas Roadhouse. And I've got a little video to help get us started.
Open up the champagne, pop. It's my house, come on, turn it up. Hear a knock on the door and the night begins. Pour yourself something cold, baby, cheers to this. Sometimes you gotta stay in, and you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house, play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my house. Morning comes and you know that you wanna stay. Close the blinds, let's pretend that the time has changed. Let's continue tonight, come on, celebrate. That's how we do. Sometimes you gotta stay in, and you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to my house, baby. Take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go out. Welcome to my house. Play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go out. Welcome to my house. Come on, bring a friend. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my duck off the crib, the spot, the pad. But my house is your house if you throwing it back. Excuse me if my home draining the sand blast. It's my house, just relax. Welcome to my house, baby. Take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go. Cheers to this. Welcome to my house. Play that music too loud. Show me what you do now. We don't have to go out. Welcome to my house. You heard me? We ain't gotta go out, 'cause what? Welcome to my house. It's my house, my house. What? Welcome to my house. It's my house.
So that's a little video to get us started. The last character is Andy the Armadillo. That's our mascot at Texas Roadhouse. But you can see it's pretty fun getting to work with a group of people like that, because pretty much the whole company's like that. You throw a camera out there and they're all excited and jumping up and down. And that's what we're selling a lot of times in Texas Roadhouse. We're a hospitality company. You know, I may say we're a restaurant company, but we're really a hospitality company. That's what we sell, is hospitality. And one of the first things I want to share with you is this kind of has multiple meanings, just getting started. Sort of the title of my presentation today to you all is, for me, I'm 53 years old, been out of school for 30 years, and in many ways, I feel like I'm just getting started. Every day when I come to work, I pretty much prove to myself that there's something else out there that I don't know about. And I'm still learning. I'm learning a lot about my company, my profession, being in the hospitality business, the restaurant business. Could be technology related, could be food related, could be architecture related, real estate related, people related. That's a never ending journey. Okay, a lot of folks say development ends at death for yourself. That's one way to talk about it. Development ends at death. Another thing is, internally in our company, we like to say we've never arrived. And we've had a lot of success. I'm not going to talk about the numbers for Texas Roadhouse, and many of y'all can go online and you can look at our financials, and we've grown a lot over the years, 550 restaurants and today, and it's been a great story. But internally, we tell ourselves we never really arrived. We could always do a better job. We get feedback every day from our guests that tell us we're not perfect. We get feedback from our employees every day, tell us we're not perfect. So we're always challenging ourselves every day, what can we do better? How can we continue to get bigger, stronger, faster? How can we continue to grow as a company? How can we continue to impact the lives of our employees more, our guests more, and our communities more? Never ends. One of the ways we do challenge ourselves is simply through reading. And I'm an avid reader. Reading is usually encouraged in Texas Roadhouse. There's a number of folks that actually have book clubs, believe it or not, and talk about a lot of these books. These are some of my favorites that I've read. We've had a few of these folks, authors, speak to us at various functions of Texas Roadhouse, and these are all sitting in my office right now, and I've done presentations to all of our folks based on some of the subject matter in these books. They're all great. I would encourage any of you to, at some point in your lifetime, to take out one of these books and read it. I do read a lot of books on my iPad, so I read a lot of them digitally, probably like a lot of you all, but there are some I like to have hard copies of. I still like to have hard copies of and make pages, copies of pages and stuff like that. But we never stop learning, and that's something that is always important, and to stay hungry. The next thing I want to share with you is purpose and knowing why you do what you do. And I can remember, I started my career as a summer intern. And as a summer intern for a division of Burger King. And the CFO in that company, his name was John Foley. And John would come out of his office and he'd come beside a little small desk and he'd come and talk to me and he'd be like, he's from Boston. He'd be like, hey, Scott, what are you, what are you working on? What are you working on? And my first inclination, I'm 21 years old. My first inclination is I start getting nervous, and he'd be like, well, "Why are you working on that?" My first inclination was to say, "Because the boss told me to." Okay, and I knew I would catch myself. That's not what he was asking. He wanted to know, did I understand what it meant to the company? Why was I doing this work? Why was it meaningful to the company? And one thing I always expect people to do when I'm working with them, if I don't say the why, and I try to say, if ever I'm asking somebody to do something, I always try to explain why. Here's what it means to us. I always want them to ask me that question. Part of it shows me how engaged they are when they're asking why. So the power of why is very important. When people understand the why in something, they're generally a lot more committed. They're committed, they're hooked when they understand the why, and a lot more collaborative when they understand the why. It's a very important concept. One of the things at Texas Roadhouse, when you say, why do we do what we do, and our founder, and part of why he created the company and the way he created it was, we really wanted to make people feel special. We really wanted to make people have a good time. And we have a poster that's in many of our restaurants, and I show this next slide a lot that kind of encapsulates that in a way. You can see what this says. Guests may not remember what you said. They may not remember what they ate, but we kind of doubt that at Texas Roadhouse. But they're always going to remember how you made them feel. Okay, same thing goes for our employees, our fellow roadies. They're always going to remember how you made them feel. So we talk about how we make people feel all the time. And the way we protect our food quality, the way we protect the staffing levels in our restaurants, all that together is all about how we make people feel at the end of the day. Because if they feel good and feel special, they're going to continue to come back and work for us. They're going to continue to come back and dine with us. It's kind of as simple as that. So that's sort of the power of the why. Next thing is, what kind of mission? So you have this purpose to make people feel special. What are some of the ways that you do that? And our founder in this case came up with the mission statement of Texas Roadhouse. And he tells this story where he used to work for Bennigan's. Any of y'all hear of Bennigan's? Okay, not many, because they used to be great at one time and now they're not. There's only like a handful of them left. Okay, and we have a number of folks at Texas Roadhouse, like our founder, who used to work at Bennigan's. Our founder ran a Bennigan's actually in Denver for a number of years as an operator. And so one day, he used to always like shake the trees a little bit. He came up with his own recipes and always trying to get the CEO there to kind of listen to him. The CEO always shut him down all the time. Okay, so one day they get tired of him and they call him into the corporate office of Bennigan's, and he walks in and he sees behind the person sitting there at the reception desk, there's this big, huge, long mission statement. It's like a paragraph long. We do this, and he couldn't even remember. He didn't even know it. He worked there for a long time. So the Texas Roadhouse mission statement is 4 words. Okay, it's 4 words. Legendary food, legendary service. So 2 of those 4 words are the same. Okay, they're the same. So virtually everybody knows what the mission statement is. So we're here to provide legendary food and legendary service. And because it's so simple, it really keeps us focused. Because any time we talk about things going on in the world, we always ask ourselves, how does that impact legendary food and legendary service? That's what we talk about. Investors will ask us all the time, what are you guys talking about? You're talking about legendary food, legendary service. And by the way, not good food and not great food, but legendary. That's a whole other level. And if you're really honest with yourself, that's where we've never really arrived. maybe at legendary. We've gotten like pretty good at a lot of things. And legendary is like a level. I don't know if we ever get there, but we're trying. We're really trying to be legendary in that aspect. Core values. So our company, again, started in 1993. Kent came up with the mission statement pretty early on. When I came to the company, we had not yet developed core values. We didn't have a set of core values. We were a young company, startup. You know, we were still a private company when I joined the company. A lot of times we had to, move money around to get people paid. And I'll pay you on Monday, I'll pay you on Thursday, pay you next Saturday, because cash flow was kind of tight. We're a young company. Well, at some point we decided, look, I think we need to have a set of core values in our company. And most companies do have a set of core values that they live by. And so we said, well, how are we going to come up with our core values? And what do we do? And this is sort of emblematic of Texas Roadhouse is we went out and asked our people. And our people, our employees voted on what our core values were going to be. Went out and voted on it. Okay, and they picked 4 words as our core values. And they are passion, partnership, integrity, and fun. Those are our 4 core values. Texas Roadhouse. Passion, partnership, integrity, and fun. And those really are a foundational thing for us because those represent the key behaviors that we expect out of each other. We expect folks to be passionate about what they're asked to do. We expect them to be great partners with each other, and we talk about what being a great partner means to each other. Integrity, do the right thing all the time, and fun. Fun's a big part of our culture, and we expect people to participate in our fun culture in a way that's comfortable for them, but at least be a part of that fun culture for us. And so these behaviors dictate many times if somebody get promoted or not. You might be the smartest person in the room, but if you're not living these core values, you're not getting promoted. Okay, it's not happening. And we ask people, do our folks live these core values or not before we promote somebody in our company. So when we're hiring people, if I was interviewing you, I would try to be assessing my mind, do I envision you, living these core values in some way? And I might even ask you some questions of how do you think you've demonstrated some of these in your either in your studies at Georgia or some other internship you might have had, something like that. So the role of leadership, okay? And this is leadership of Texas Roadhouse, believe it or not. Every year we have a conference, conference which I'll talk about, and in leadership, we don't take ourselves that seriously, to be honest. We're not a super hierarchical company in Texas Roadhouse. We're still very founder-driven. Matter of fact, I kind of dressed up for you guys today, believe it or not, to come to work today. So if I was going to restaurants, I would wear this. I'd wear a nice looking shirt and jeans and all that. But when I'm in the office, I'm pretty much wearing shorts half the year. Okay, because that's the way we dress in our support center. Most of the time. But we did a spoof on dodgeball, as you can see. I'm sure many of you have seen the movie Dodgeball. I was White Goodman, the bad guy. Had my team won the big match, we wouldn't have won 50 grand like in the movie, but we would have won the rights to the Texas Roadhouse recipes. Okay? So that was what was at stake in this big dodgeball match, was the recipe book for Texas Roadhouse. And so our founder is there on the left. So he's the coach of the team. He actually is a really nutty guy. But that's our leadership team right there. You got everybody, our head, human resources guy, marketing, legal, everybody's there in that picture. So what's our role in leadership? What are we supposed to do? Part of our job is to make sure we got great people working for us. Because we're only as good as our people. We are only as good as our people, and we are totally dependent upon our people. So I can tell you that. But another way we think about our role is through a pyramid I'm going to show you next. And this pyramid is an upside-down pyramid, first drawn up by our founder way back in the day. And so in this pyramid, of course, the foundation are our core values. Okay, and those core values guide us a lot in our decision-making and how we treat each other. And then, of course, at the bottom, as you might expect, are executives. That would be me. our founder and other folks. And you got our support teams. Support teams being the functional support teams, marketing and finance and training and our food team and all that, our support teams. So right above that are our managing partners. Our managing partners, those are the folks that run each restaurant. Each restaurant is run by what we call a managing partner. And notice how they're not called general manager. They're called managing partner. They are our partners. Okay, they're our partners. And so as partners, we listen to them very much. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But we also share our profits with them. So the average managing partner makes about $140,000 a year, something like that, running a Texas Roadhouse. Okay? A lot of them make over $200,000 a year running a Texas Roadhouse because they share in the profits of their restaurant. And there is no limit to how much they can make. We very much treat them like partners, and they very much own their business locally and make a lot of decisions on their own. Of course, they have their own team that supports them. So our kitchen managers, our service managers, and our hourly roadies. So all our servers and our bussers and our hosts and our cooks, our meat cutters, all those folks support them. Okay, and notice that they're a little bit above the managing partner. We expect our managing partners to provide a lot of support to those folks. Then you got up here, oh yeah, we got our vendors. So yeah, our vendors, work for us in a way, but we kind of also work for them. We're very dependent on our vendors to give us support. So we're going to help them just as much as they help us. Our communities and our investors. Okay, the people that have invested money into our company as well. And of course, on top of everything, are our guests. And one thing about guests is everybody's a guest. All these people on this chart are potential guests for us, or our future guests, or our guests. So everybody's a guest in our company, the way we look at it. So our job as leader, the role of leadership, getting back to that, is kind of twofold. One is to serve. So what do I mean by to serve? Really, it's about finding out what the needs are of all these folks. It's finding out what their needs are and helping them address those needs. And how might we do that? Biggest thing that we do is we ask them. We ask them. Well, how do we do that? Well, there's a couple things we do. One thing we do is we get on a plane every year in the fall. We fly around the country. It's myself, our founder, and our head of operations. And we go on what we call a fall tour. And on a fall tour, we do 2 cities a day. And in those cities, we sit down with 30 of these managing partners and then some of their kitchen manager, service manager, and we talk about how the business is going. We talk a little bit about how it's going, and they give us a lot of feedback on maybe things they think are going okay and things they think we need to work on, face to face. The morning group, we go have lunch with them. The afternoon group, we have dinner with them and hang out and have some drinks. So we might start the day, get on the plane to Louisville. We may fly down to Atlanta and meet with all the folks that come out of Atlanta or Georgia and Alabama. Then we'll shoot over to Charlotte for the afternoon, South Carolina, North Carolina. Next day, fly down to Orlando, do the Florida group. In the morning, the afternoon, fly to Baton Rouge and do the Louisiana and East Texas folks. And then on and on and on, all around the country. So we're touching, getting face to face with every single person that operates a restaurant for us. Another thing we do is we have a meeting where we invite 10 or 12 operators to come to Louisville and get with a larger group of us in our support center and get face to face. We do this every quarter. And we ask them, hey, how's it going? And they give us a whole bunch of feedback on things they'd like to see. So we go and we ask them. And that's part of serving, is getting out and serving and visiting restaurants and getting to know your people. That's part of the serving part. The other piece is the honor part. What do I mean by honor? It means treat with great respect. Our job is treat with great respect. And how do we do that? A lot of that is through recognition. Through recognition. One of the things I personally do and have done for many years is I write notes. Okay, and I write notes to every restaurant that's had a good year. Okay, this year I'm probably going to have to write like 500 of them because we had a good year last year. Okay, and people really appreciate handwritten notes. In the age of texting And I text a lot. I get text a lot, okay? And emails and all that, people still love those handwritten notes, okay? And people still, hey, am I getting a note this year? Okay? And a lot of the spouses or boyfriends or girlfriends, I know of these partners, and they'll mention stuff to me when I see them about how important those handwritten notes are. So very meaningful, and plus you can keep them. People post them and on social media and all that kind of stuff. It's great to do that. But we do a lot of recognition in our company to show how much we honor not only these operators in the middle, but also vendors. We give out our vendors a lot of awards as well. We do a lot of meetings with investors because we respect the job that they have to do. Okay, they're trying to understand how to value Texas Roadhouse, so we're going to make time for them and respect that they're trying to do their job too. We spend a lot of time giving back to our communities, and I'll talk about that as well. So recognition. This is a meat cutting contest. We have meat cutters in all of our restaurants. So we have a national meat cutting contest. One of these guys wins $25,000. They're the national meat cutting champion. The top 10 gets to go to our annual conference. Our annual conference this year happens to be in San Diego. Okay? And everybody gets to bring a guest. Their spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, mom, dad, whatever, brother, sister. Let's bring a guest. We're going to have, I know we're going to have Florida Georgia Line this year at our conference. Okay, so 2,000 people in Florida Georgia Line. We're going to have Steven Tyler. You guys know who Steven Tyler is? Right? Aerosmith, right? You know? Okay, they still got it, by the way, if you've seen them in a concert. But he still got it. You know, the theme of the conference might be Dream On, by the way. Okay? So it probably will be. So we'll have T-shirts, and all of our T-shirts will have pockets. I'm a big T-shirt pocket guy. And so probably say Dream On our T-shirts, but probably have that. But these guys, you know, this is an ice skating rink in Orlando. We bring in our top 100 meat cutters, and they cut off against each other. Okay, and you can see they've all got banners back there, and there's stands on the other side. You can't see the stands, but these guys are right now competing against each other. A lot of these guys have never been on a plane, never used a hotel key, room key. It's very cool when you do this stuff year after year after year. And they get really good about the job, and they get very competitive, and all these guys come back year after year. I mentioned our conference that we have. It's the biggest thing we do. It's called the Managing Partner Conference. So we bring every person who runs, that managing partner runs that restaurant, plus their spouse or boyfriend and girlfriend. The reason why we do that is the restaurant business is a 7-day-a-week business. Nights. And more nights. And so you're away from your family a lot. So you got to have a supportive other person in your relationship, really, to make that work. So that's why we love bringing the spouses and significant others to our conference. And we've been a lot of fun places. Miami Beach, I've been Hawaii a few times, Cabo, Orlando, and we typically have themes around them. San Francisco, Phoenix, Banff, that one up there. We actually had a winter conference up in Canada. That was very cool. And we've had tons of great entertainment. Darius Rucker, Doobie Brothers, some old stuff, some newer stuff, you know, just really great recognition. And that's a Ritz-Carlton with our big Andy in the front, blow-up Andy that we have there. This is where last year a guy named Paul Ashton, Sherman, Texas, won our biggest award, the Managing Partner of the Year. There he is with his check, $25,000. There I am on the left, by the way. See, I got a suit on. I do own a suit, you know. But you can see he's got his kids there. So we always fly in the winners' kids, if they've got kids, as a surprise. We started doing that some years ago. And so it's really a coup to like make it so that the parents don't know the kids are gone, because they surprise them on stage once this is announced. So you kind of really got to like lie to the parents about what's going on in their own families to get the kids to show up. You know, you got to do that. But he's got his belt buckled. He gets a belt buckle. He gets a car, $25,000, a bunch of stuff. It's a very prestigious. And by the way, the people who vote for this award are the former winners. It's not me as president or founder. It's the former winners vote on who wins this award. So it's very cool. We also take a whole day out of our 4-day conference and do humanitarian work. So whenever we go, we want to leave the place a little better than when we left, you know, when we leave. And so, so we do that, And you can see we do all sorts of projects. I've done 2 of them where we've laid sod all day, where we took a broken down field, and all created a big soccer field in one day. Because you got 300 people out there laying sod. And we got 1,500 people that'll be doing humanitarian projects, all over a certain city. Very cool. We also have a support center, as I mentioned. We have a lot of fun there as well. This is just a picture from Halloween a few years back. And just as much passion in our support center, just as much fun. Halloween's like one of the biggest days for us. The day before Halloween, nobody's working because everybody's decorating for Halloween. Okay? So not a lot of stuff's getting done. We just that's what we do. And people do it, have a lot of fun, and get all crazy. And multiple awards are given out. Some of the judging is done by people that are in the office buildings next door to us, so they are objective. Some are done by kids. We have a Kids' Choice Award because people will bring their kids in the afternoon for trick-or-treating. But you can see the great people I get to work with. This is just a short list of charitable organizations that we touch. Each of our support center departments actually choose a few charities on their own that they support. And they support it on work time. So we don't ask them, hey, come in on Saturday and do your charitable work or do it after. We say, hey, middle of the day, you can come and go spend a day, whatever you want to do, supporting whatever charity and how you want to make a difference there. We also have this Colorado Climb for Andy. Andy, again, is our mascot, Andy the Armadillo. We have an internal foundation called Andy's Outreach. And Andy's Outreach, the money comes from our employees. It comes from our employees, and it goes to roadies in need of a financial hardship, maybe a funeral, maybe an illness, maybe they had a car accident, and so we've given away, I think it's over $10 million now since that first started. We actually built a restaurant. Our employees put the money, build a restaurant, 100% of the profits go to Andy's, okay? This is another fundraiser where we do a mountain climb, and we raise money through the mountain climb. Mount Elbert was one year. That's me over here in the green shirt. That was my first. I've done 4 of these now. 4 of these 14ers is what they're called out in Colorado. And this Mount Elbert happens to be the tallest mountain in Colorado. You can see even Andy the Armadillo up there climbed it. And this group here on the right, they're all from Houston. So they're all a bunch of low altitude guys that actually made it to the top. So that's pretty good. Restaurant people aren't always in the best shape, because they eat a lot, So, but it's really cool. The last thing I want to share with you as something to think about, it is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay? Sometimes we're in such a rush to get somewhere, sometimes we forget where we're going or how we're going to get there. But sometimes, if you do the right things, a lot of times good things will happen. Sometimes it may take longer than you think, but I'll tell you 2 stories with that. One is, for me, 1993 was kind of a pivotal year for my family. We decided to move from Miami, Florida to Wichita, Kansas. Okay, how many of you would do that, by the way? Anybody? I don't think so. Okay, so I went to work. I went from Burger King to Pizza Hut. Okay, and Pizza Hut was part of the PepsiCo organization at the time. Why did I do that? Opportunity and learning. Opportunity and learning. And for the next number of years, I had a number of different jobs. They moved me back to Florida after a couple of years. I commuted to Puerto Rico and spent a number of years in Florida and Georgia. Some of those jobs I had were lateral moves. I'll kind of get frustrated, like, when am I going to get promoted? Okay. Looking back, those lateral moves, God, I learned a lot. And it made me so much more ready to take on a role like CFO at Texas Roadhouse when I joined Texas Roadhouse as CFO and now president. I didn't realize how much I was learning until kind of looking back. So I say that to you. Part of that marathon you may think is taking a long time to get where you're going, but if you're always learning, look at every job as a learning opportunity, it'll be a big deal for you. That was my license plate, by the way, Florida. And then 20 years later in Kentucky, okay, hey, I'm president of a company. Who would have thought? I wouldn't have thought, but perseverance and keep learning, treat people like you want to be treated, is a big deal. Also from a it's a marathon, not a sprint perspective. I got 5 minutes, so I gotta book it here. Marathon, not a sprint perspective. On the left, Herb Kelleher, founder of Southwest Airlines. Okay, one type of plane, 737. Never really changed that. Okay, Marathon, they would grow a couple cities a year, and that's all. Kent Taylor on the right. By the way, 3 of the first 5 Texas Roadhouses failed. Didn't make it. I mean, almost didn't make it. So he had to get a lot more disciplined on real estate. Okay, we're very disciplined on, we don't change our food even if there's food inflation. We don't change our labor model just because minimum wage goes up. We have a very long-term view of the world at Texas Roadhouse. We're very disciplined in what kind of changes we allow to happen in our business. Okay, pricing. Before we make a pricing decision, we talk to all the operators. Before we do change anything on the menu, we talk to all the operators, and we test like crazy. Okay, we test like crazy. And that discipline kind of starts with these guys having a very long-term view of their company. Sometimes we tell investors, I'm not sure we're going to grow profits this year. So we're just honest with them. And they go, okay. They may not like it, but I'm understand it because we protect our business for the long term. Okay, and we've had a lot of great years. Some years not so great because we protected our business. And ultimately, having a lot of discipline is really key. And when I look back, it's one of the things I'm most proud of is we've had so much fun along the way in Texas Roadhouse and have so many crazy events, but at the same time, it's sort of our secret that a lot of people don't really know about us. We're really disciplined in so many things that we do. Again, I was a finance major. I will tell you this, my degree here very well prepared me for getting outside of Georgia. And there wasn't anything I didn't know how to do relative to my degree. I was very, very well prepared and very proud of the degree I have from this university. And that was 30 years ago, so I can only imagine what you all know and how strong you are coming out. So again, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colosi. We now have some time for questions from the audience. So,
how have you tailored your leadership style to different roles that you've held?
You know, I can't say honestly that I've changed my style. You know, I think it's more of I always try to treat people the way I felt, you know, I would want to be treated from a style. It's more of a, as I've aged, things have changed a little bit, so I let go more maybe than I used to because I can easily be in the detailed work, if you will. I'm comfortable around that. And not wanting to just dump on people or overly delegate, but I'm comfortable letting go more of things. I'm definitely a lot more comfortable presenting than I used to be. You get enough practice on anything. Recognizing people, I would say, would be things that have changed over time, but I wouldn't say my style has really changed a lot. One big thing is, you know, coming out early, you know, if things didn't go my way, I'd always blame it on something. You know, and I would say as a leader, you kind of look in the mirror first. If I'm not getting the results I want, who do I start? I'll start with me. You know, look at, because maybe I didn't give good enough direction. Maybe I didn't hire the right people. It's me, not you. You know, at the end of the day. And that's one big change over the years, I guess, as my maturity has kicked in a little bit, you know, over those years. Yes?
Hello, my name is Michaela Whitehead, and you've been talking about different lessons you've learned throughout your years in doing this business. What is like one specific lesson that you may have learned in the past that you still apply to your life today?
Actively listen to people when they're talking to you. So, you know, look them in the eye. You know, act like you're listening. When I have meetings in my office, I don't have them at my desk or my computer's there or anything, or my phone's out and, you know, all that. And because every time you have an interaction with somebody, you're showing them whether or not you really care or not. Okay, that's one thing that sticks with me. Every interaction I have is sending somebody a message, whether I really care or maybe not. So that's just one thing I focus on really hard. And it can be hard to do. Yes, sir.
What's your favorite thing about working at Texas Roadhouse?
Favorite thing is just the fact that we think so long term, you know, and that you're really proud of what you're producing for guests. So you're proud that, you know, you've got great food that you make from scratch every day and you've never compromised it. You're very proud that you've never compromised the way you staff your restaurants. You're very proud that you're very active in the communities. And so just that pride factor makes it so much fun. And you can kind of be yourself, and you can yell and scream if you want. You can be quiet if you want. You can dress the way you want. You know, you can kind of, you know, do what you want, and that makes it all fun. Yes, sir.
What's the biggest mistake or one of the biggest mistakes you made in your career that you really think had saved lost you afterwards?
Wow. You know, I would say biggest mistakes, more than mistake, and I would tell you, and sometimes it still happens, is really not making people feel good. So whether it's not listening to somebody, whether it's interrupting somebody, whether it's saying something that made somebody's idea feel a bit less valued, let's say, not recognizing somebody maybe when I should have, I would say it's those things that you're kind of, hey, I wasn't a great partner today to somebody, and going home at the end of the day and thinking about the way maybe you carried yourself, you know, or what in the heat of battle, in the heat of an argument, or the heat of discussion, or, you know, did you lift somebody up or did you knock them down a little bit? And I want to be, you know, somebody who's always sometimes a slip and maybe knock somebody down a little bit unnecessarily. There's always a time for accountability and a little tough love, but at the same time, sometimes maybe you can push a little too far. So I'd say that's probably the biggest thing if I had to say. You know, I still challenge myself with it.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yes, sir.
What advice would you give us students that are going for a teaching career?
Don't be afraid to ask. So don't be afraid to ask to meet with people like me, you know? And so I knew somebody back in the day who's an alumni here who gave me their time back in the day. And I've always given my time. If people have asked, hey, will you meet with my son or daughter or this or that, and just talk about some of the things you do and some of the things you like about your job, and in my office or, you know, in our support center, don't ever be afraid to ask for those opportunities. And when you are working, don't ever be afraid to ask for, hey, I'd like to do that job or that assignment or this or that. Don't ever be afraid to raise your hand, in other words. Don't ever be afraid to raise your hand, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Making mistakes is like the best way to learn. You know, take an initiative. We never fire anybody for making a mistake. We don't, unless it's illegal, okay? Then you get fired. But, you know, or the same mistake 10 times. But make a mistake, no, we like we like people sometimes to push the boundaries a little bit as well. So raise your hand would be the big thing.
Well, on behalf of the Institute for Leadership Advancement and the Terry Leadership Speaker Series, we'd like to thank Mr. Scott Colosi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all.
We want to thank all of you for attending today. And as you leave, please let us know that you were here by filling out the Who You Are card. And we look forward to seeing you at next year's.
One more thing. Oh, by the way, this might be the most important thing you're going to hear all day. I got a gift for you. Okay? And where do we got them? They're right out here. So there might be bottle openers with Texas Roadhouse on them. Okay? Because I don't want you guys to be thirsty. They're very cool. I hope I see some of them out on tailgating, you know, next fall when Georgia comes back and does win the national championship. So thank you.
We look forward to seeing you at next year's series. Thank you, guys.